quarterbacks. They've had 3 guys play this year.
Yeah, I mean, all their quarterbacks are capable. I've seen number 18, he's a good runner. Number 9, he played a little bit, the transfer from Maryland, and he's a great quarterback too. And then the new guy they've been playing on, number 15, he's really good at throwing the ball. He's a big guy. So, whoever's out there, that's going to be the challenge. And we just got to compete and give our best.
You came in with Jaden Montgomery, right?
Yeah.
Last week, can you tell us about him and how he takes over Meadow?
Yeah, Jaden Montgomery, man, that's one of the hardest workers, I've ever been around. That's a great human being on top of that. And I just know, Jamon's he's ready for this opportunity. I know he's thankful for this opportunity, and I know that, he's doing everything in his power to help this team win. And I'm just thankful to be able to take the field with him. I think it's going to be a great opportunity. He's from Wisconsin, and, what better story can you write, you know what I mean? So.
Where does we've talked about how you've been a captain and kind of your elevation, the defense. I guess where does that kind of leadership and work ethic? Where does that stem from?
I just try and be the best team that I can be, and being voted by my teammates, is a tremendous honor, and I just try and just lead by example. I think that's just what I try and do. Yeah.
Does that stem from maybe your high school recruitment and kind of your high school journey through football?
Yeah.
Did that play really any factor in kind of the way you just approach things, both on and off the
field?
field?
No, I just try and just lead by example. I think it's easy to be a rah-rah guy and say things and, be a guy who's, say this, but I always just try to lead by action and just try and lead the pack by my actions.
During the bye week, did you guys
When you guys have a bye week like this, when do you kind of take the opportunity to focus a little bit on your own stuff, what you can do better, but also just give yourself a break, let yourself relax, breathe, maybe get away from football. How do you balance those two?
Yeah, I think you gotta, I'm a firm believer in doing the work early. Once the bye week starts, we watch the film, and then when we have the practices and we're here, I just try and watch all the games I played and take a step back and say, whoa, Koen, what are things you need to work on this season? What are things that you need to improve? Based off these 5 games. And then we have shorter practices, and then you got to find some time after practice if you weren't able to cover in practice, to kind of hone in on the details. And then once the weekend comes, you gotta break hard and take a good break and relax a little bit because we got a lot of games ahead.
Seems like details is the name. Is the word that everyone's kind of chosen when they say what they worked on in the bye week, what they wanted to see better against Indiana. What details were you working on?
Yeah, I think my details were just my eyes, having my eyes in the right space, whether that's playing man, tackling somebody. You can gather so much information in the pre-snap, whether you can just look at the certain guys who are out there, look at splits. That can kind of help you narrow it down to the point where you're like, oh, I'm 85% sure it's a run, or I'm 85% sure it's a pass. And those details just help you play faster. It's crazy. You'd be surprised. The fastest players don't always play the fastest. It's the players who can process it the most. So I think that was just the biggest thing. How quickly can I process things to play faster and help this team?
Did you watch Wisconsin and Michigan live?
Yeah, I watched it live. Yeah.
What was your reaction as you were just kind of getting a chance to sit and watch a football game live?
Oh yeah, no, it's nice. I'll be honest. It's way more entertaining when you watch it on TV because they'll zoom in and stuff. It's way better than just the 11 on 11 sometimes. But it was a great opportunity to watch them play. Michigan's a tough football team. I think it showed that Wisconsin's a tough football team too. And this whole past week of college football, I think we're starting to see, the Big Ten is anybody's league, and it just comes down to who shows up and who wants to compete. And I'm excited just for an opportunity to go out and compete. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, you mentioned you get a whole different viewpoint when you watch it on TV. Do you pick up things that a future opponent is able to do because you see it on TV?
Yeah, I think one thing that, and I try and watch at least one TV copy, you just learn, the announcers, they say a lot, just about maybe the previous school they've been at, or they might give some insight to some things that the team's been working on, or some injuries that they may have had that you may not be able to pick on just from reading the scouting report and things like that. So there's a lot of good stuff you can pick up from the TV copy.
What's the best nugget you've gotten from a TV announcer, play-by-play guy?
The best nugget. I'm trying to think. The best nugget I got. It was that I hadn't watched. The Maryland game up until that point, but I remember at the start of the Michigan game they were talking about how they were starting the Wisconsin quarterback because of the drive that he had in the Maryland game. So that's the stuff that you might not figure out unless you watch the TV copy and things like that.
So then did you go immediately watch that drive that earned him the start?
Yeah. So then when I was driving back, I was watching it. I wasn't obviously driving. Someone else was. I want to clarify. Yeah.
You're just in the car.
I was in the car. Yeah.
And then you mentioned Jaden's getting his first start in his home state.
Yeah.
For a guy who's not from Iowa, who's gone back and played in his home state, what's that like?
Yeah, I mean, just the feeling's surreal, you know. And I just told him, man, like, dude, just soak it all in, man, and just play your hardest, and because we're all gonna play our hardest, and we all got your back. You know, we got each other's back, and that's the name of the game. How can we play tough, smart, physical together? You know.
Can you walk through Jaden, just like his development, how you've seen him kind of take steps?
Yeah. You know, Jaden came in with me freshman year. You know, he was kind of banged up with some injuries our first year, but, you know, every single phase, whether it was, you know, winter workouts or, you know, spring ball or fall camp, you know, every single time he just was raising his standard. And, you know, he just plays fast, he plays tough, and he wants to see this team win, and he's so selfless. And, you know, I'm excited just for his opportunity to play with him. It's going to be fun.